Booking international travel in the COVID-19 era can sometimes feel a little bit like this, or what about like this, or how about like this? If you've suffered from any of these travel planning symptoms, then welcome to group therapy on Traveling with Kristin, not actual therapy. A place for you to connect with others in the comments and talk about the trips you used to take, myself included. Let's go ahead and kick things off with a new segment I'd like to call, Wait, what? I thought Europe already opened for travel. #It's complicated. So what had happened was, even though Europe made headlines this year as it reopened for summer travel, we've lost a little bit of ground, guys. We're backtracking a bit. Because today, EU officials essentially kicked America off the safe list along with citizens of 5 other countries. So what this means is that they made a recommendation to ban US citizens from non-essential travel to Europe, aka tourism. Why, you might ask? Well, for countries to stay on this safe list, they can have no more than 75 new COVID-19 cases per 100,000 inhabitants over a 14-day period. Just for comparison's sake, I'm filming this video from Florida, where we have the highest COVID-19 hospitalization rate in the country, with 75 new patients per day and up to 700 new COVID cases per day. Suffice to say, we are far from making the EU's safe list. But what does this mean for you and your practical travel planning experience? New travel restrictions, including quarantining and stricter testing requirements for unvaccinated citizens of the US, Israel, Lebanon, Montenegro, and North Macedonia. Note that I said unvaccinated. These recommendations are effective as of August 30th, and make sure you subscribe because chances are this list is going to change again soon. The next question that you might have is, which countries are going to be implementing these restrictions? Is it going to be everywhere in the EU or Schengen zone, or what's going on there? Well, the good news is that these are just recommendations and guidelines from the EU. They are not legally binding. So that means basically every individual country in the EU can set their own rules. And I've spent the last few hours searching the Twitter feeds and tourism boards of pretty much every country in the EU, and no one has updated their information yet. No one has even mentioned if they're going to be changing their travel requirements. And so this leads me to believe that most countries are probably going to ignore these guidelines. So don't get scared necessarily by all of these headlines, because you should still be able to get in. Now, I know the concept of having these safe lists or safe countries for travel in the middle of a global pandemic can seem a little bit of an oxymoron, but if you are planning to travel right now, then I have 4 tips to hopefully make it easier. The first thing, and this is a personal choice, but it's going to be easier for vaccinated travelers to travel internationally versus unvaccinated travelers. I'm not going to opine either way about what you should do in your personal situation, but from all of the restrictions I've read about different countries, traveling while fully vaccinated can make it a lot faster and easier to get into a lot of these countries. The second thing that everyone should do is to make sure that you check with your airline before booking your ticket and find out about their change fees and cancellation policies. I've been flying with Delta, and it's been really easy to change my flight in the app, and they even have same-day standby options. So make sure to check with your airline first. The third thing is to consider planning a trip to a country with no travel restrictions whatsoever. There aren't that many countries on the list right now, but Mexico is one, Costa Rica is one, Colombia, and also Albania. So these are countries that you can travel to with no restrictions, no quarantine, no testing, and no proof of vaccination. But this list changes often, so again, check back later for more updates. The fourth thing is to make sure that you have travel insurance with COVID-19 coverage either way. I've linked to my favorite company in the comments below, and if you have any questions about coverage, you can also check out my interview with the co-founder of Safety Wing, who I just had on my podcast recently. You can listen now for free by going to badassdigitalnomads.com/120. We covered a ton of FAQs about travel medical insurance. We also talked about the first digital country on the internet that they're building, and remote pension plans, retirement plans, for remote workers and digital nomads. So really great conversation, one of my listener favorites. What do you think of these new EU travel restrictions, and will you be traveling anyway? Let us know in the comments below. And if you can't or don't want to travel right now, totally understandable, but you want an escape, you can catch up on some of my favorite travel and living abroad videos here.